Today we're talking about tropes. Yay, everybody loves tropes, right? Hi, welcome to my channel. I am a multi-genre independent author with two pen names, T.R. Sloth for all things dark, gory, and depressing, and Marga Primrose for all things romantic and swoon-worthy. We've all seen sitcoms where this happens. We've all read books where it happens. Janie says something, and Mark misunderstands it. Now they're fighting. Or, even worse, Mark misunderstands it and tells Julian. Now Julian and Jamie are fighting. Oh no, there's so much drama due to a miscommunication. Today we are talking about tropes, specifically the miscommunication trope. Oh no, miscommunications. All right, so this is a trope where one person says something, somebody else doesn't understand it or mishears it, and now there's drama everywhere. Or maybe somebody read something out of context and now there's drama. And this is pretty common in romance. I see this in the romance sphere being talked about all the time. But honestly, it's not just a romance trope. This trope can be in any book, any genre. For example, if you're reading a fantasy book that has fantasy battles and fantasy wars, there can be a miscommunication between two generals or miscommunications between when the troops are supposed to arrive and where they're supposed to arrive, and all hell breaks loose. So I don't hear people complaining about it as much in those genres as I hear people complaining about it in the romance genre. And I think that's because in the romance genre, in the romance sphere, typically the miscommunications that I've seen in literature happen within a very small group of people. So that makes it that much more frustrating. Because if you're reading something in like a fantasy battle, it makes sense how miscommunications can happen because you've got hundreds of people trying to coordinate and organize, and you've got these backstabbing political figures who are deceiving people on purpose. But in romance, you typically have a smaller cast of characters, and so when you have like 2 or 3 or 4 people who are just refusing to talk to each other, that's more frustrating. So I can understand why it's a bigger complaint within the romance genre than other genres. I have said this before, and I will say it until I am blue in the face. I do not think any trope should be barred. I do not think that any trope should just be completely written off and never written or explored. There are some people who do think that. There are people who have entire YouTube channels or blogs or platforms where they talk about what tropes they absolutely despise and wish people would stop writing. I firmly believe that any trope can be good in literature if it is written well. I'm a believer in the phrase of the customer is always right in matter of taste. There are people who read books for the drama. They want that messy, over the top, campy drama because they don't have that in their real life. And honestly, if I had that in my real life, I wouldn't want it in my books. I'd be like, I'm sick of this crap. I'm not doing it anymore. But I'm one of those people that don't have that in my real life. I'm basically like a hermit. I don't talk to people. I don't have a lot of social drama. And people who cause me too much drama, I don't talk to them that much because it's frustrating. So in my books, yeah, I'm okay with things being messy. So, and going along with the idea of the customer's always right in matter of taste, I always kind of peek into readers' blog posts or Instagram posts or social media posts where they talk about things that they like or don't like in books because I kind of want to test the waters and see what people are talking about. So in the romance sphere, there were some people who were talking about how they hated the miscommunication trope. And one of them said that the miscommunication trope was realistic. It was the most realistic trope, and that made it the laziest trope. That confused me. I'm not gonna lie, that confused me. I don't mind if people don't like the miscommunication trope, I really don't. But that logic really confused me, okay? Because here's the thing. When you're writing a book, you have to make it realistic because if you look at reviews, everyone's like, this wasn't realistic, this was horrible because this part wasn't realistic, or this whole book needs to be thrown away because this specific thing wasn't realistic enough. So authors are sitting here trying to make things as realistic as they possibly can, and yet the most realistic trope is lazy. Like, I don't know. I'm laughing because I don't know what else to do. Now, I do think depending on how it's written, it can come across as lazy. Also, how long it's drawn out within the plot of the book. So I can kind of see some aspects of that, but just the way it was presented when this person was talking about it just kind of threw me. So, for example, there's this one book that I was reading and I liked it, but this one part kind of bothered me. So, the main female character, her best friend was named Samantha, but she preferred to go by Sam. And her best friend had passed away from cancer, and she was very devastated over this. She doesn't have a lot of friends, so she kept her best friend's contact information in her cell phone, and she would send her like text messages about her life. It was just like a coping mechanism for her. She would be like, "Dear Sam, this is what's going on. I love you. I miss you." And that would be the end of it. It was almost like journal entries, but via text message. And this man that she had been dating, he was basically almost moved into her house or into her apartment at this point in their relationship. He saw her phone, like he picked it up for something because a notification went off, and he opened it for her to like give her her phone. And he saw this like, "Dear Sam, I love you, I miss you." And he freaked out. He's like, "Oh, you're cheating on me. I don't know who Sam is." And he threw this hissy fit and tossed the phone at her and stormed out. And she was screaming at him through the window, like, "Come back. It's not what you think. Sam's a girl," or something like that. And he wouldn't listen, and he just left. And it took several chapters to get this resolved. So I can understand if you're reading a lot of books where the miscommunication is that small and that easily resolved, but it drags for the entire book, and that's like the main conflict between the two people. I can understand how that can come across as being lazy or like over the top. And I can understand why some readers wouldn't like that. But to throw away the entire concept of a miscommunication as being lazy is a little strange to me. There are instances where the miscommunication really can make sense. Like if someone's leading a secret life and the other person starts kind of picking up on that, and they come to the wrong conclusion about what that secret life is, I think that's a realistic miscommunication that people can work with depending on like the situation. Like I know in like paranormal books that can happen when somebody doesn't want to like out themselves as like a vampire or a werewolf right away. The other person might come to the wrong conclusions. Stuff like that I can get, but I don't know if it's like a colossal hissy fit over something very small. I can see why readers might get frustrated with that, but I don't think that it's necessarily the miscommunication trope as a whole that just needs to be tossed completely out. One thing I do think is interesting is there was an interview with the creators and writers of Seinfeld. And I know Seinfeld's a TV show, it's not a book, I get it. But what they said was really interesting and relates. They said that a lot of the plots for their show and for the Seinfeld episodes would not be realistic nowadays because nowadays everybody has a freaking cell phone and you can text people and get almost instantaneous responses. And a lot of the kooky shenanigans that people in sitcoms got into were results of not getting a hold of someone on time. Their miscommunications come from the concept of, "Oh, I called your house or I called your apartment and left you a message, but you weren't home and I had no other way to reach you." So things like that, I can understand how back before the popularity of smartphones would have a very different effect and a very different impact, and how the miscommunication trope has changed. So you don't necessarily have that, "Oh, I tried to call you, but I got your house and you weren't there." You don't have that anymore because almost everyone has a freaking smartphone in their damn pocket 24/7. And so you can shoot them a text message. And I don't know, the only way they wouldn't get it is if they were out of cell service or if somebody took their phone and was deleting messages, which is kind of far-fetched. Not saying it doesn't happen, but a little far-fetched. So, yes, the miscommunication trope is not what it used to be, and it's got a bit of a different face now. And so people are trying to do different things with it. But I don't know, this whole concept of just tossing out the entire trope just because you think it's too realistic is a little strange to me. I think I've said that like 4 times now. But anyway. And then there's other people on the other camp that are like, I want all the stupid drama. Make it as ridiculous and campy and over the top as you can. I want them bickering about everything. I want the stupidest miscommunication to cause a 15 chapter fight. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but you know what I mean. And so that's another reason why I really don't agree with these concepts and these videos or these blogs that are saying, never write this trope. Because there are people somewhere who love it. They thrive on it. Especially when you're in genre fiction where people are writing purely, or people are reading mostly for escapism and entertainment. A lot of people love trashy, messy drama. I mean, why do you think reality TV is so freaking popular? It's messy, it's over the top. People love that. They love it. So, if you're writing a book and you have a miscommunication in it, don't necessarily rewrite your book because you see somebody complaining about it. Don't necessarily go through and rewrite your whole plot because you see somebody talking about how the miscommunication trope or whatever trope it is awful. Now, if you are a person who loves the miscommunication trope, I want to know why. If you're somebody who hates it, I also want to know why. Leave a comment. Talk about what you like it in, what you hate it in, and some examples. I would love to hear, I would love to learn more about this from both sides. There's always 2 sides to every argument, and I like hearing both of them. Let me know if there's a trope that you want me to explore in depth for my next video.